Factsverse presents. Man follows postman to deserted neighborhood and is shocked by what he sees. At one point or another, we all fall behind on our work, and for some, this means a huge stack of paperwork piling up on our desk. Others, well, that could mean several clients are waiting for a job to be completed. Well, whatever the reason, falling behind at work can be stressful. If a United States postal worker falls behind on their work, it means that your mail is late. Recently, there have been a few stories in the news about postal workers who fell behind on their route, and they decided to, rather than make up for it, just hide the undelivered mail and pretend it doesn't exist anymore. Well, when somebody finds all of that mail that's not been delivered, it takes weeks to get it to the right people. And that means those people had to wait a lot longer than they should have to get that mail that they were probably expecting. Well, when a cinematographer named Douglas Thrawn saw a mailman in an area where he had no business being in, he decided he was going to figure out what was going on. And when he followed the postman, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Before we share the rest of this video, though, help us out by clicking that like button, and also be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. A postal worker's job is pretty thankless most of the time. They spend hours a day on their feet in the freezing cold, the sweltering heat, the soggy rain. They are even in charge of making sure that Amazon packages are delivered on time. And that's a lot of work, but the postal worker in question, Trevor Smith, he apparently didn't mind. In fact, he loved his job. His regular route included the city of Santa Rosa, California. Sadly, though, wildfires had destroyed every single house in his neighborhood that he usually delivered to. Well, when Douglas saw Trevor going into the neighborhood that had already been destroyed, he couldn't figure out why. The drone videotaped the man's mail truck driving down what looked like a post-apocalyptic neighborhood. Well, after viewing the footage, he figured out exactly why this postal worker was in the area. While all the houses were reduced to ashes, many of the mailboxes still stood at the end of those driveways. Trevor drove up Piner Street, where a senior mobile home park used to be before the fire. Many of the seniors knew Trevor because he'd been their mail carrier for years. But when the fire got too close, the residents were forced to evacuate. It's a good thing they did because the entire mobile home park was reduced to ash. Before the seniors were evacuated, they asked Trevor if he could continue delivering their mail while they were gone. Many expected to return home eventually when the fire was contained, and they didn't want to miss any important mail while they were away. Well, the houses may no longer be standing, but the mailboxes were, and Trevor decided to keep his promise, and he continued leaving the residents' mail in their boxes. He knew that eventually the people who lived in the area would be allowed to return home to assess the damage and to retrieve any belongings if anything was left. Trevor wanted them all to be able to get their mail when they returned to what used to be their neighborhood. Douglas was so impressed by what this mailman Trevor was doing, he decided to upload the video that his drone captured to his Facebook account, and it wasn't long before the video went viral. People couldn't believe what a caring, hard-working man Trevor was. Since there were no houses to speak of, he could have left the residents' mail at the post office for them to pick up later. Since Trevor made a promise, though, to the residents, he decided to keep that promise. And one by one, the residents began returning to the neighborhood to see what was left of it. Sadly, that's pretty much nothing that was left. What did remain, though, was the residents' mailboxes, filled with mail. When asked how one of the residents felt about what Trevor had done, she said that it was pretty incredible. She said that it was great that her mail was waiting there for her in her box when she arrived to check out her former home. Shortly after the video was posted, it did go viral, and a lot of people commented that Trevor was the most dedicated postal worker they had ever seen. Others said that his kindness and generosity must have helped the people in the neighborhood at least somewhat. He was able to give them what they wouldn't have for weeks or even months to come – some sense of normalcy. Subscribe for more!